we did it. We got treated as adults. For a little bit. We didn't cause any trouble.
You felt like you were over then, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we walked out of there. So, and I remember Steve saying, "Yeah, man, another year we can go to the 3-2 places and order a 3-2 beer." And I was like, I don't like 3-2. He's like, "Oh, it's no big deal. You just got to drink twice as much," which is what we did. When's the first time you got served at a bar?
When I was, besides my dad buying me orange soda, when I was in Chanute Air Base.
Oh, really?
I remember I was close to being 18, and they gave me a beer. Because I was in the military.
Yeah.
I remember right. 17 years old.
Yeah. Interesting. The same thing for Michael. First time he got served was at a bar in Thailand. After he got set up there, they, there was for R&R, which was only, he said it was only like 8 hours is all you got. But, they took him on a bus, and it was like a 2-hour bumpy ass bus ride to some, Thai village, and walked into a bar, and they just served everybody. They didn't care. Had some drinks, and then it was, prostitutes for everybody, and then food and the whole 9 yards, and then, after 8 hours, they rounded everybody back up on the happy bus and took them back to base, and
Wow.
they got to sleep it off and go to work. He said that happened like once every 20 or 25 days. Got an R&R day. So, of course, he had all sorts of pay. There was no other way to spend any money on his little base. His little base, I saw pictures of it. It was a trip, man. It was basically like this mesa in the jungle. And then you could tell they had come in with defoliants, and they had sprayed this rectangular strip in the jungle. And they cleared everything out. And they put in a concrete runway, and then Quonset huts on either side. And that was it. That was it. I mean, man, you had to wake up to that every day. I mean, it just looked so isolating, like you were on the moon of a jungle planet or something like that. Pretty weird. So it was in the military first time you got served, huh?
Yeah, I was thinking the other day that really my social life is no different than I was 25 or 35. I was not very outgoing.
Yeah.
So it's getting older. There's been no. She goes, "Don't you sad because you don't get out as much?" I go, "I never got out as much when I was younger." So it kind of just had the same area. I got out, but not like other people did.
Yeah.
Enjoyed right now. I just never spent my time in my bedroom, my house. I thought, well, maybe it's just a setup for when I get older. Maybe I was preparing to get an old age my whole life. I was just not a social person.
Yeah.
I'm more social now than I've ever been in Florence.
Yeah.
That's funny. But even that was not like other people had social lives.
Sure.
All kind of dances and stuff. I never did that.
Yeah.
So right now I'm enjoying being older. Really, personally. Because of that reason.
I'm fine with it too. I like the headspace of being older. I mean, there's some things about being older I don't enjoy. I definitely, young people aren't interested in a fucking thing I have to say. And that's been a really weird shift over like the last 2 years. Like the grayer I've gotten, the less voice I've had, for younger people, and getting treated worse by them. That's been interesting. I guess I should have had some sort of a radar, paid some attention, that this is, part of that reality. I guess it's, one of the reasons people, dye their hair, is to try to remain looking younger. I refuse to do that because I'm just too fucking lazy.
Have you seen the botched attempts to do that?
Oh, many. I've seen many botched attempts, yeah. So, and that's something, I want to fight against. It's like, okay, fine. if you're not going to hear me, maybe I need to talk less. If you're not going to hear me, maybe what I do have to say needs to be really concise. So I'm trying to, take it as a challenge to, improve my thinking, improve my delivery. And, ultimately, I think you just are on that path that it's time to hand the world off to a different generation. Let them figure it out.
How were we when we were younger? I mean, it was like,
I was pretty snotty. Yeah, I definitely was to elderly people. Pretty vicious, no doubt about it.
If you think about our own lives, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's very important to do that. Do you think?
No.
What would you have done? Well, if I were in your position, same thing. Because it's hard to admit that tonight, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, it is.
I wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Well,
Although I always had older friends through my entire
Sure
life.
did.
I've always had like friends that are 1 or 2 generations older than me. Because I was curious, you know, I wanted some good answers, you know, towards life. Not having English as my first language, I think, was part of that. Never really feeling particularly connected to the culture. That was a big part of it too. So I was like, well, maybe, you know, I don't get it, but maybe I don't need to get it, you know, sort of thing. Well, an older person can answer that for me. So.
Well, I always enjoyed old people's stories.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They were dying. I said, what was it like when you were younger?
Yeah.
They tell all kinds of stuff that go on in their lives.
Absolutely. Oh, I always loved that. You know, when Mountain Bob told me, this burned into my brain. He said, you know, Manfred, if you want to try to understand the Depression, just imagine if everybody, just imagine if it didn't matter what you knew, or who you knew, or what you could do, you couldn't get $1 off anybody. Because every dollar we ever get in our lives comes through the hands of another person. There was just no way. It was impossible. You know, there was no money to be had, no money to be exchanged. And he went through the Depression in Colorado. So I was like, wow, let me put it that way. Because we always think in terms of, well, you know, I have some way of participating generally to get some money out of the system. But now, you know, I think that reality is almost identical. It's like, you know, because you are, you know, asked or forced to be locked down in your home, there's no way to get $1 out of anybody. So the government has to provide it. John, throw a couple more pieces on there, would you? You got a decent bed of coals?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, throw those 2 on. Here's another one. And maybe throw that big honker right on top of it. There you go. And then don't close the door all the way. Crack it about that much, John.
There's lunch?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, even maybe even a little bit more. Just until that really starts picking up. So keep an eye on that. When it starts picking up, you can shut it down. You know how to work a fire, John.
Yeah.
You do it at your place all the time. Well, this is going to interrupt our banister repair, darn it. So I even got a good coupon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For what?
Oh, for Sunny's Ace, you know, $10 off if you spend more than 40. So, because we still need 4 pieces of wood, right?
Yes.
I thought it turned out pretty good what we did the other day, don't you, John?
It was very nice.
The one side looks pretty good.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know whether to go or not, you know, to Sunny's. I mean, it's like almost day to day at this point.
Yeah.
You know, what's open and what isn't. Can I offer you some ganja food, John?
Sure.
Okay. What'd you think of that popcorn?
That was really good.
Isn't that good? Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Well,
It's not super strong, so
is it?
no. I'm just
Have you ever really tried that before and you realize that they're then super strong? No. Then weak is like super strong.
oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
you're thinking, okay, there's a couple of M&Ms, thinking, oh, a couple of M&Ms, and about an hour later you're going, where the
Whoa.
fuck am I?
Exactly. What's an M&M? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. No, and it's definitely through eating it that can be the trickiest. Although I've smoked some stuff too where people are like, this is, you know, tasty, like they're trying to suck you in with the flavor. And like, yeah, it is really tasty, and then, you know, 30 seconds later, I don't even know what my name is. You know, it's unbelievable.
Okay.
Nor care.
That's the bigger thing about life is going, what's your name? Shit.
Although, strongest stuff I ever smoked, it was really weird. It was a chance meeting. This guy from Humboldt County in Dillon, and he had stopped into a store that my friend worked at and ended up going to her home. And I just ended up, I stopped by.
You close it?
Yeah, if it's taken off, but
Yeah. All the way?
all the way. That's good.
Have you know before you own it or somebody else owns it? You think if that crack closed late, but there's a couple things thinking the crack has always been open. Have you done it before?
Oh yeah.
Sometimes make sure it's tight all the way. You're thinking there's no way in hell I'm gonna tighten that damn
No,
door down.
no.
No, you experienced that
That's
before?
never been
Yeah.
tight, yeah.
Some boxes you ever had that way before?
Yeah, close the door and there's no door handle. So,
What are you gonna say about?
but anyway, so this guy, I bet, and he was driving an old Volvo, and I had an old Volvo at the time. He's like, "Well, hey man, you want to smoke a bowl?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." He said, "Well, this is M85 from Humboldt County." He says, "We're gonna smoke this. We're gonna have a conversation for about 30 minutes. It'll make sense to us. It won't make sense to anybody else. And then it starts to taper off in an hour. You'll be fine." Kind of unusual, I'm like, sure. So each took a couple hits, and that is exactly what happened. I was fucking high, but I was like really in tune with this guy. Like there was almost like telepathy that was going on. We're having this great conversation. My friend Deborah was there. She's like, "Yeah, you guys didn't make a fucking lick of sense." And then he's like, "Oh, I gotta go," and he took off and never saw him again. That was definitely the strongest that I'd ever experienced. And then real Panama Red, that had a kick-in time like 25 minutes after we smoked it. Nobody felt anything. And this is a weird story. I was at a party and there was a Rasta guy there. This back in the 80s, and tall guy straight out of Jamaica. He was here. Somehow it ended up at the party, and my buddy came to me. He's like, "Oh, hey man, give me your bag." I'm like, "I got like fucking quarter ounce here." He's like, "Just give it to me. I'm trying to get all the weed together." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "That guy's got Panama Red, man. I'm gonna see if he'll do some trading." It's like, "You'd heard about Panama Red. I never smoked it." So he went to him and he said, "Well, hey man, I'll trade you like this half ounce for one bud of the Panama Red." And he goes, "Well, I don't know, man. I don't really need the swag, And he's like, "Come on, man, He's like, "Okay, maybe I roll a big blunt with this or something." So we let everybody go in the party. Everybody, left. It's like 1 a.m. So we loaded up some of this Panama Red, which is really red, really sticky. We loaded the bong, and we smoked out of it. Super smooth. I got in the car because he needed to air up his tires. We just done a clutch job on his car. It's like, well, let's go air up the car. And we get in the car. It's like, get 10 minutes later. I'm like, man, I'm not feeling nothing. My two friends are like, I'm not feeling nothing either. And I was like, it's just bunk, man. That fucking Rasta guy ripped us off, He's like, oh, well, who knows, So we started driving down the road, and it hit us all like it's simultaneously. And my buddy looks at me and he goes, "Man, I know we need air for the car, but it has to be free air. I will not pay for air." And I was like, "Dude, it's 2 a.m, man. The only air we're gonna find is the air in the air machine, at the 7-Eleven." 5 minutes later, we're sitting on the side of the road. This is on B Street, up in Colorado Springs, and I cannot figure out where I am or what's going on. And my buddy looks at me, he goes, "I can't drive." And the guy in the back seat goes, "I can't sit in the back seat." So we got out of the car. We just left the car there, and lights on and everything. We walked across the street to the 7-Eleven, and then we hung out in the 7-Eleven. This is like, one of the very first the Indian guys working there. "Oh, how can I help you today?" We're like, "Yeah, we're good, thanks." "Okay then." And we sat there and we watched the cops come along and check out this car with the lights on. For about an hour. They couldn't figure it out. One of the cops opened the door, turns the lights off. That was it. Didn't ticket it, no tow trucks, nothing like that. After an hour, we were good enough to go deal with the car. Indian guy on our way out goes, "You guys are all high, aren't you?" Yes, we are.
It was about 3 o'clock in the morning now, 4.
On a Friday, yeah.
You know, it's summertime.
Yeah, it was sometime. Yeah. And we went back over there, paid for air, and then went in and bought Slurpees and Mountain Dews. And but for that hour, we couldn't fucking deal with it. We were just out there staring at the.
Yeah. I thought that one thing. I don't know how you are, but a lot of times. Well, Mike's brownies. That's a whole different. We won't even.
Oh yeah.
That. Okay. Let's leave that out of the equation. Okay. But the cookies you give me, I really have. I go through different phases. I'm not. You can tell I'm really high. I don't talk. For a long period of time, I don't talk. And all of a sudden, I come out and I start talking all kinds of gibberish. It came to the top of my head. They go back into that fog again for a while, and they come out again. I have different phases.
Yeah, I think most people do.
I'm thinking, what the hell am I saying right now? But you know what? I was thinking about something about this whole like virus. Might be a good thing in the sense of having more. There might be a time when see, driverless cars become popular.
Oh yeah.
As far as trucks and everything, no plague, nothing. Shipment comes in, automatically comes out. That might be where it's really gonna.
You know the truckers are going to hit with this, man. You know they will. Because they're always on the move, having to deal with truck stops, stuff like that. There'll be a trucking shortage. They've already talked about it on the news. It's hard to move stuff around.
Even driverless stuff's gonna start getting really popular, I think.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
If we want computers run this thing, I'm thinking, you know, my biggest contention has always been, if we as people, I'm just talking about the United States, I'm at the rest of the time, I heard about Italian drivers, but my, you think
They should have their cars taken away from them.
But I'm thinking as a society, the biggest thing has been, you know, computers can't drive better than we can. I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah, they can.
Because I've never been impressed with myself. Anybody else? I mean, you drive well, but even you would admit,
And it's fading.
Yeah.
It's fading.
It has to,
Yeah,
right?
I'm not nearly as good a driver as I used to be.
You ever look back and think about times when you were younger, how bad of a driver some of the risks you took? Going through that stoplight, wherever the fuck it was. Who hasn't done that in America?
And they all have, absolutely. No, I was I think one thing that really shocked me into driving properly was one of the girls I went to school with, and she was like the nice, beautiful, popular girl in school, and she was like the one that was nice to all the kids that everybody else was mean to. You know, she was an adult. Jeanine Ponzini, just an amazing person. And she was already like doing volunteer work through her church and stuff like that. And she was just so engaged, and she kind of burned the candle at both ends. You know, it wasn't uncommon to see her like kind of falling asleep in class. Well, first year in college, she fell asleep after going to some volunteer thing on the way home, and she crashed her car and was paralyzed from the waist down. And bad health, you know, none on. Tried to continue school, but she left after a semester. I don't know what became of her, but I just thought, you know, this was someone, this was like the top of our class, and they made a driving mistake and got hurt. And after that, I was real serious about it. So that was about age 20. I took it pretty seriously. And my friends were still being stupid. I'm like, man, dude, take it to the track. You know, that's why there's racetracks. You can go, if I can go to Beacon Hill, you can go to quarter-mile drags, and I got involved with that, you know, for a number of years, because I was like, yeah, this is the place to do it, not out on the street, you know, and when you're on the street, fucking pay attention and don't harm others.
You know, this is back in the 70s. I had no interest in Mike, because the guy who owned the farm we were living on, he reserved seats for the Indy 500.
Oh, wow.
I know you got to talk to him about that, but what stopped me from ever doing that was, somewhere in the 70s, I was watching I heard about Indy 500, how close people were sitting next to those stands and everything. Those cars crash and tires come off and everything.
And they do. You know, people are hurt, they get hurt. You know.
That's one of the most alarming things I think I told you was in Texas. I'm going to find out where this was. I'm going to find. There was this because trains have run into each other unintentionally. This was set up. People in the grandstands in Texas somewhere, middle of nowhere, two trains. I get nervous with these trains going by through here. I'm thinking, I'm on that kind of thing. I'm going to pay to sit and watch these trains run into each other. I'm thinking they're going to Indy 500. I went to one demolition derby. That was kind of fun when I was younger. But I am never interested in going to race cars, racing at all. For the people, it's fun to watch it. Watching on TV, get the real view. Okay, I got it. There's something I've never been interested in going to. You said about like the only reason I go to football games to see people, but that's gonna be gone too.
No.
Football games, that's gonna be going away too. That shit's gonna be really.
I don't even know how sports are gonna survive out of this. I don't know.
I don't know either, man. You may have to watch it on TV from now with no audience whatsoever. Maybe not even that. Because you can't interact with each other, right?
Who's gonna watch?
That's a good question. This whole franchise is gonna really be. I don't know, man.
Who's gonna watch? Because going to the game is a big deal. I mean, for a lot of people, they might not be able to do it, but maybe a few times in their life. But you go and you feel the energy, and it's a big deal. Like connects you with that sporting event.
Without that,
how would you ever get hooked into it? I'd be like, whatever. Video games more interesting. Yeah, I think definitely knock down sports.
the video game, that's gonna get even bigger, I think.
Oh yeah.
From your own home now, you can be involved now on home, man. That's been that way. It's been increasing. This thing made this virus made essentially put the whole thing on a different level, right? Because you know we're talking about how good that video games are, how good that's been for society. You know, like you said before, you can understand this thing going. It increases violence, right? You're thinking, is there any stats on this kind of thing? Oh, yeah, people getting their heads blown off.
Yeah, prove it.
Yeah, we want is someone like that guy up in Denver that going to that's their thing. Movie theaters.
Yeah, done. Fucking done.
That's the one big scar on this thing. The panic of this thing is this idea of going to a movie theater. Now, people have stuff at home.
Yeah.
Big screens, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, to have this, I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting how this thing evolves, how this thing directs our society in a different avenue for the better. I think.
I think overall for the better.
There's gonna be some bad things that are gonna happen.
Yeah,
right?
there'll be some losses. There's some movies I'm glad I saw on the big screen, but honestly, most movies I could have seen them at home or not at all.
Favorite movie that you can, famous ones you can avoid seeing. You ever see one that got a lot of praise and feel how great it was?
Oh man, there's been quite a. Okay, I'm glad I saw The Meaning of Life on the big screen. It's not really a big screen experience, but I'm glad I saw it on the big screen, simply because the horrific reaction of the crowd was worth it. Oh geez, there's a lot of forgettable movies. We got to go see the Mission Impossible movies. All right, yeah, I went. I was sorry I went. Like 10 minutes after I sat down, I tried to fall asleep. And now there's a lot of movies that, even though they're called like big screen movies, that now let's see the ones where the machines turn into the robots. Transformer movies. Those need to be seen on the big screen to fully appreciate them. I enjoyed them more than I thought that I would. But yeah, there's a lot of just your average action movie. Like Fast and the Furious. Okay, it's enjoyable, in a way. You don't need to see that on the big screen. Just fucking see it at home. That's fine. You get the thin plot. So.
Did you see Heavy Metal on the big screen?
I did.
That was an experience, right?
That was an experience only because of the crowd. Midnight showing, Colorado Springs, the downtown theater. I don't remember what it was like. It was like a Cinema 70, I think is what it was. So opening night, totally sold out. Like you had to get there at 9 o'clock to get tickets, and we did. Everybody's hanging around. This is, back when they used to allow people just to stand in line and drink, like waiting for concert tickets and stuff like that. So everybody's like pretty well ripped, by the time the doors open. And they go in and they start up the movie, and it's obviously they don't have the volume up as high as it could be. and everybody's like, turn it up, you know, fucking turn it up. And then sort of a really weird mini riot broke out. You know, people started throwing popcorn at the screen, and then there was a couple of the you know, generic stoner guys that you know, wash dishes for a living and wore jeans jackets and listen to Metallica nonstop. They tore a row of chairs off the concrete mooring and were using it as a battering ram. They were actually running up the aisle. You know, like they're gonna take down the sound projection guy, and they turn the movie on, and the guy running the film goes, all right, we'll turn it up. And everybody stopped, and the guys, they took the seats back over, they put it off to the side, sat on the floor, and they cranked it up as loud as they could do it. That never happened at Ajon. Never happened. I couldn't believe I watched it happening when it did happen.
Was it exciting? Also, kind of you've been with for watching that proverbial car wreck of a thing.
Oh,
you
yeah.
gotta keep your eyes on that thing because you can't believe you have an idea what's gonna happen, but then on the other thinking, I don't know where it's really gonna go, right? Because you kind of wondering, you heard that before?
Well, I thought everybody was going to go to jail. You know, that's what I thought. I thought cops are going to be here in 5 minutes. They're going to arrest everybody. I never imagined that response was like, okay, fine, you win. You know, because I think he was sitting there thinking like, okay, either this becomes like, you know, a page 3 newspaper article, or just turn it up.
Have you ever studied history of riots?
A little bit.
Oh man.
A little bit. There's interesting dynamics behind that. It's not the person that's incendiary that starts off a riot or an action in a crowd. It's the first person that follows the one that's incendiary. That person is ultra powerful. And that's because something in mob psychology kicks in, you know, when that happens. And I don't think particularly well understood. Probably, you know, goes back to some sort of a primate, you know, brain experience. But yeah, it's pretty weird. I have been in a riot. When I was in England traveling, I was in the punk riots. It's no fun. I mean, it's just the level of sheer violence is terrifying. You know, there's stuff flying, people getting hurt all over the place. Seems like everything's sort of flying at you, even though it isn't. There's just a lot of aerial stuff, you know, gases and stuff being thrown, and just, it's very three-dimensional. And my feeling was not to participate. My feeling was get the hell out of there as quickly as possible. And what was weird in England was they knew the riot was coming because they like had boarded up a lot of stores and things like that. And I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, I just got there. I'm like, how come the stores are boarded up? You know, like, oh, they're going to be right. And they used a different term, like there's going to be a rumble or something like that. And I was like, no. I thought this was happening down the road, you know, not that day. Yeah, like in a few hours. And then like all these fucking punk guys just showed up, and anarchists, you know, sort of like, not in an organized fashion, they just showed up from all over the place, and then the cops showed up in a very organized fashion at one end of the street, and then it's just like all hell broke loose. As soon as they saw the cops, it was just all hell broke loose. You know, and they're shooting off tear gas canisters, and you've experienced that. You know, that's horrible. You know, even a whiff of that, you know, you feel like shit.
Well, you know that the Frank Zappa and the Mothers had that thing happen to them. Someone was in Germany or some kind. They were warned about some group that was going to shoot them. They shot some rockets or something like that on the stage. I can imagine that shit happens on stage more people realize.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because you never know what the crowd's going to do. When you go on stage, you may have the greatest crowd in the world, and well, someone was telling me the other day. I don't know what it was. He said, "You cannot believe." I think Robin told me he was somewhere where like thousands of people were singing these songs. He said, when you get in that chorus like that, I mean, I thought the riot, but he said you cannot believe the voice that you can hear because they're singing. I think it was the Eagles or someone else. They knew all the songs.
Yeah.
You were involved in that kind of, you were saying kind of thing happened before, people singing?
Oh, yeah,
that was a really wonderful experience.
It is a cool experience, yeah.
You get to see both sides of that, right?
Absolutely.
The heavenly choir and the...
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, you know, the mass participation on a number of levels, you know, definitely, you know, 4th of July at a rainbow gathering, you know, when they do the big Om circle, you know, that's an amazing experience, absolutely. you know, everybody's focusing their attention in one way. And I've seen also, you know, violence come out of a mob directed at a certain group of people. This was right before Judas Priest played. There was some delay, like they weren't letting people in, and there was this group of, you know, Bible proselytization kind of, you know, folks that were right by the doorway, kind of in the way of the, you know, heavy metal mob wanting to get in there, you know, chastising people for listening to this kind of music, you know, and it was really weird. There was like this silence that came over the crowd, right? And then, you know, one guy says, well, why don't you just get out of our fucking way, you know? And then they came back with some Bible scripture, and like I told you, it's not that person that incited the riot. Someone threw a bottle, and they didn't throw the bottle at them. They threw the bottle at the concrete wall that was right behind them.
That's all it took, right?
And then, man, it was ugly. It was so ugly. So they just got nailed.
So then when they had thrown that bottle, maybe nothing would have
Well, probably nothing would have happened.
But the second person, right? You said the
It was the second person, you know, because the calm kind of came, you know, after that guy said, hey, you know, it's, why don't you get out of our fucking way? And then that happened, and then it was just, you know, they got pelted. I mean, they were badly cut, and they made a run for it. You know, they just dropped all their, you know, paraphernalia and propaganda. They were trying to hang out, and they just made a run for it. There was about a dozen of them, and they just went, and of course, you know, the crowd was not kind to them at all. So nobody, like, you know, stepped up to hit them, but they were just getting pelted, you know, with everything, mostly beer bottles. Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, I thought, I'm like, you know, you put yourself in harm's way. You know, this is not a group that wants to hear what you have to say. You have a right to do this. You have a right to put yourself in harm's way, but you put yourself in harm's way. And security did nothing about it. You know, they were just like, no, we get involved in this. We have to deal with the crowd. You know, doors will open. Just let them in there.
The question is, I have the right, but do I want to take responsibility
Exactly.
for what happens afterwards? Because
Exactly.
you can say I got the right to do this. Well, yeah, but what's going to happen afterwards? That's always been a thing about it. Don't you think? The question of the responsibility.
Well, yeah, and that's, you know, why the court did, you know, the time, place, and manner restrictions on a lot of what our privileges are, which I think is good legislation. And you can't understand your rights unless you understand time, place, and manner. So, and of course, they're different in different municipalities, and they're different in different situations. But in my mind, there's no other way you can, you know, manage a population without doing that. I think it's a fair way to do it.
Like the governor.
Yeah.
And I think that was the right call and everything else.
I think it's totally the right call. Yeah, I mean, personally, I wish they would actually move a little quicker, you know, to lock some things down.
I think the